Now, I've said multiple times on this channel that Resident Evil is my favorite game franchise of all time. So of course, I was delighted to find out that these games were going to be coming over to the Nintendo Switch. That was until I saw the price tag. Capcom has just released HD versions of the Resident Evil 1 Remake, Resident Evil 0, and Resident Evil 4 for $30 each in the US. Again, these are games that were originally released on the GameCube almost a decade and a half ago. Similarly, these games were released on the PS4 and Xbox One in HD like 3 or 4 years ago, and back then, they sold for $20 each. So you're paying a $10, 50% markup for these Switch versions. You can buy a combo pack of Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1 Remake, but there's not even a discount on the bundle. It's still $60. And while yes, it does have a physical release, which normally for someone like me that would be enticing, in typical Capcom fashion, they gotta screw it up, and only one game in that physical release is on the cart, and the other is just a download code. And of course, it had to be Resident Evil 0 that's on the physical game. Out of all of these three games, okay, Resident Evil 1 Remake, Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 0, the one these idiots decided to put on a physical card is Resident Evil 0. Whoever made that decision should be executed publicly. Only Capcom, I swear to God. It's really sad that as a huge Resident Evil fan who also loves the Switch, I couldn't justify buying all three of these games. The only one I did purchase to check out was Resident Evil 4, as I assumed that one had at least the most potential, I guess, to be worth the price tag. And even in that case, I was disappointed. For one, you don't get any motion controls, gyro-aiming, like in the Wii version, which, yes, did make the game much easier, but it was a cool feature that always made the Wii version of Resident Evil 4 stand out from the million other versions of the game. And many Switch players are accustomed to using gyro controls in shooters like Splatoon 2. Yes, I know not everyone wants it. I always love that as a comment for not having a feature. Oh, I don't like the feature, so I'm glad it's not in the game. Yeah, great, awesome logic. But yeah, I figured for $30, they had to at least be bringing that back, or maybe some new Switch-specific features like HD Rumble, perhaps? No, of course not. This is pretty much a straight port of these past HD versions, just downsized for the Switch. And that's not to say it plays bad or anything. Like, from what I've played of Resident Evil 4, it runs well both on TV and in portable mode, which, yes, obviously for the Switch, the portable mode is the major selling point. But to justify these higher price tags, they should have done something. I mean, couldn't we at least get like some Nintendo-themed outfits? I mean, anything. Wouldn't be much, but at least it'd be something to tout as a special aspect for Switch owners. And yeah, I know people will just say, oh, you get the portability option, but I do not think that is worth a 50% price hike from other versions that launched several years ago. If you'd like to put this into some perspective, outside Capcom, for instance, look at like the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro collections that recently released. $40 each for a collection that includes 3 games that are basically full-on remakes for current-gen systems. And while we're still waiting for word on the Spyro collection on Switch, the Crash one did release on the system for $40, just like it was on every other platform. No markup. Again, 3 majorly overhauled games for $40. These Resident Evil games are $30 each, and there honestly isn't that much of a difference between them and their original releases besides the resolution increase. It's not like these games look drastically different from when they originally came out on the GameCube. And $30 each comes out to $90, by the way, if you want to buy all 3. If you want to compare that to something else that was revealed recently, that Mario Maker 2 Direct that we just had last week. Remember they announced that voucher program for subscribers where you can get 2 games essentially for $100? So right now, if you're an online subscriber, you could pre-order Super Mario Maker 2 and buy Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for $100, or buy these 3 GameCube remasters for $90. And I do think that's a reason they didn't offer any bundle that just included all 3 games together. I think it was purposefully to avoid visualizing that price. Like, think about it. All 3 games released on the exact same day for the same price, but you've only got this bundle that includes 2 of them. Why wouldn't you just have one for all 3? Because I don't think you wanted people having that $90 price tag staring them in the face at checkout. I really think that's the reason. Not to mention, Capcom also recently announced that we're getting Devil May Cry on the Switch. Just Devil May Cry 1, the original game, literally broken off of the Trilogy HD collection. Now, they've been quiet about the price on that, but I do not think it would be out of the question to assume that that game would be much different than what we got here with these Resident Evil HD games. And currently, that collection, the Devil May Cry trilogy, on PS4 is $30. $30 for 3 remastered games. Again, how much do you want to frickin' bet that when just the original game comes to the Switch, it also costs $30 by itself? This is just such a joke. And it's a shame because, yeah, like I said, I love this series. I can't believe I'm not going to jump on Resident Evil 1 Remake, one of my favorite games of all time, on the Switch on day one. But there's just way too much other stuff coming out for me to justify $90 on these 3 older titles. If you're someone who's looking to jump into the series, I do think they're great starting points, but I would still definitely wait for a sale. If you absolutely need some Resident Evil content on your Switch immediately, I would first make sure you buy Revelations 1 and 2. These are newer games in the series that I think were very good. The original Revelations I absolutely love. And each of those games received a bevy of Switch-specific features like motion controls, as well as amiibo functionality, and both of them are currently priced at $14 each on the eShop. So you can buy both of them for less than the price of one of these games. I'm sure at some point these other Resident Evil games will be discounted, and if they do drop down to like $20, I'd say they'd be worth picking up at that point. But it's like, man, Capcom, with other consoles, they're doing such great work. Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil 2 Remake. And then it's like, when it comes to the Switch, all they want to do is give us the bare minimum and then price gouge us to hell. Again, these are bare bones ports. $30 each. Once more, with how much stuff is coming out on the Switch, I can't recommend people run out and pick these up right away. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the series, and even I can't justify dropping, one more time, $90 to get all of them. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on these recent Resident Evil releases on Nintendo Switch in the comments. What do you think about paying $30 for each one? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of the prices of these Resident Evil releases on Switch. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter, @JohnnyZakari, and join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends, link to both in the description below, and as always, thanks for watching.